Lanes in Cheektowaga, New York, Prime proudly presents the 15th of 22 Open Division qualifiers of the Brunswick World Team Challenge. And welcome to the Thruway Lanes. Great to be here in bowling country, Western New York, in the greater Buffalo, Niagara Falls area. And hello again, everybody. Jay Randolph along with Hall of Famer Earl Anthony. We had 91 teams competing here this week, and also they came from 10 states. It's the third largest field we've ever had. It's been exciting, and we're down to 3.
We're down to 3, and we're down to the cream of the crop, Jay. And not only was it a big field, but it was a very talented field. And the team that led it all the way, Vice Grips from Buffalo, New York, is a team that's been here many times in the past. Matter of fact, they've qualified for the Grand Championship in each of the last 3 years that we've held it. This is a team that's going to be very hard to beat. They dominated the field, as I mentioned. In the opening match, it's going to be Vice Grips from Lockport, New York, going against Turbo 2-1.
And that should be a very interesting opening match, and we will be back with the action right after we take time out for these messages. There is Carl Kenyon and Steve Fair, the leadoff men for these two teams. And it will be Steve Fair, the 40-year-old pro shop owner from Cincinnati, Ohio, to start this match. 2-game match. Comes up a little short.
Well, he leaves the 1, the 2, the 4, and the 8. Steve, as you know, Jay, an outstanding player for a number of years on the PBA Tour. He's been successful in a lot of amateur events besides that. A great player, great leadoff bowler, because generally he is very consistent with his release, keeps the ball in play. The other players can line up off him on his team.
And already talking to himself. Got a lot of gloves on that hand today, and open here in frame 1.
Well, that's one of those things you very seldom see someone of Steve Fair's caliber do, is miss a spare like that, because it really wasn't a difficult shot.
37-year-old Carl Kenyon from Lockport, New York.
Both these teams, very experienced teams. They've been around a while. They know how to play the game. They're very, very talented teams. And if you were to put 15 bowlers on the lanes and you were required to have a certain number of amateurs, which we are in the World Team Challenge, you'd be hard-pressed to come up with more talent than we have today on the telecast. You're another spare, the 2-8, basically the same shot that Steve Fair had, and he's going to make sure he gets it, just rifling the ball down there to pick up the 2-8.
Contour Power Grips starting lineup brought to you by Contour Power Grips, pioneers in the finger grip industry, and more pros choose the Contour Power Grips, and you should too. There's the lineup for Turbo 2-1. Dave Bernhardt. Bernhardt has the strike. 49 years old, the owner of Turbo 2-1 Grips. In Washington, Michigan. And Contour Power Grips with our Vice Grips lineup. Remember, more pros choose those Contour Power Grips. Kenyon, Iwaniak, Wyndon, Rowe, and Healy.
Well, tit for tat. How do you like that?
Oh, boy, the Brooklyn hit, and it finally went down for Kervin Iwaniak, who's 34 years old in the restaurant business in Depew, New York, a suburb of Buffalo. Vice Grips up by 11 in the early going. Nick Wissinger, ABC lane inspector, a 1994 and 95 Team USA finalist from Sterling Heights, Michigan.
Well, a lot of opening jitters is my feeling on what's going on out there right now, Jay, as we see him leave the washout. Nick, an excellent spare shooter. I like the way he swings the ball loosely from the shoulder. He gets the ball well out in front in the release point, and he's very accurate. As I mentioned, he's a very good spare shooter. I expect him to slide the 1 across into the 10. The ball will take out the 2-8. Just like that.
That's the way you do it.
Just like that. Nothing to it for these guys.
We look now at Dave Gwindon, 28 years old. This fella bowls for a living. Owns a couple of PBA regional titles. He's from West Seneca, New York, here in the greater Buffalo and Niagara Falls area. And the 7 won't go.
Well, that's those brand new Brunswick pins that we're using in this tournament, and we're breaking them in for the WIBC tournaments coming here next week. We're going to take a look at the footwork here and watch the little stutter step he has here. It's really a timing step. Kind of hesitates right, gets it going. There he goes. It's a timing step. It gets him in position to get the ball down and through. Good balance at the foul line. Made a good shot. Just wasn't lucky enough to carry the 7-pin.
Reminds you a little of Henry Gonzalez, his action. And he picks it up. Our championship team, as you get a look at the scoreboard, wins a trip, of course, to the Grand Championships at Kenner, Louisiana, and then the finals in the Pontchartrain Center in Old New Orleans. Here is Mika Koivuniemi from Finland.
It's a long way to come to bowl on the World Team Challenge, isn't it, Jay? Huh?
Living in Niagara Falls these days, but is going to be moving to Michigan, he told me, in the not-too-distant future. FIQ World Masters champion in 1991. Big, tall, strong fella. It's a lot of lift and loft.
Yeah, he's going to switch bowling balls. He wants to slide the 2 across the lane into the 10. Very tough spare here. A lot of ways to get the 2 to slide around that 10. He has to be very accurate to pick this up. Not this time. And second open now for Turbo 2-1, Jay, and it doesn't look like they're going to give vice grips much of a problem in this opening game. They better get it together, and as so often happens, it's so important to fill frames, and Bill Rowe, very capable of doing that. This is another very talented young bowler. As we get down into the 4th and 5th positions, we find that the strength of the team is there, and that's for the guys that can generally get the strikes when you need them.
Well, he got them all. Rowe, who is 30 years old, a computer science major at Mohawk College, lives in Hamilton, Ontario.
Classic style here. Good, strong, free swing from the shoulder. Watch him, lets the ball go down nice and free up to that point right there. He's in perfect position, brings the ball through with a long slide, the shoulders over the knee, and a good straight up follow through with the elbow pointing at the floor. Good classic stylist.
Talented Ted Hannes, sales rep for Turbo, and at 36 years old, a real veteran. 3 national and 11 regional PBA titles. Zanesville, Ohio, his hometown, 7-pin.
Ted, another very good spare shooter, and we keep talking about how important it is to fill the frames, and that's why these 3 teams that you're going to watch today are on the telecast, because they can fill frames. They generally make all their spares. Very seldom will they miss something as simple as the 7-pin. Ted will use a very hard straight release right at it. Trying to get the team pumped up. He's talking to them, and here's a guy that can really play the game right here.
A 95 World Bowler of the Year, recently in Korea. Had a 300 game there in an invitational tournament. U.S. ambassador over there. We did a lot of work with the young bowlers in Korea. Told me he had a wonderful time over there. Spent nearly 20 days in Korea.
Pat Healy is a real world traveler. He's been doing, he's an outstanding amateur. I would estimate that he, in my opinion, is one of the top 5 amateur players in the world today, along with people like Chris Barnes and another player we'll see later on, who is another great amateur player on the team that's leading the tournament, and will be bowling anchor for them is Mike Newman. We've got 2 of the top 5 amateurs in the country, in my estimation, right here today.
As you mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Earl, this is an extremely talented field. He picks up the spare, and we will return to the throughway lanes here in Cheektowaga, New York. Brunswick World Team Challenge continues. Vice grips up by 24. We'll be back after these messages. Steve Fair for Turbo 2-1 grips. 224 league average.
Well, there's your logical move that a player will make. Last time up, Steve missed the head pin, left the 1, 2, 4, 8, and then missed the spare. Tightened up the line a little bit. The ball hooked on him, went through the nose. They are really struggling on lane 47. Cannot seem to get a good ball reaction. The only one that's really gotten anything at all was Bernhardt, and he got the strike on the crossover hit. Bert Kellerman, the man that does the lanes here for the American Bowling Congress World Team Challenge. Outstanding job as usual. Makes it a very testing but fair lane condition. There's some out of bounds out there. You get the ball out near the channel, it's not going to come back. You want to keep the ball somewhere between that second arrow and farther inside. And most of the players you'll see will be playing somewhere around the fourth arrow or even deeper.
Well, something bothered Kenyon, cameraman. I don't believe he's one of ours, but one of the local TV stations. They've got a cameraman here, and he was moving. And I've got to get him out of the area somewhere and get it squared away. Kenyon has won several Lockport, New York Bowling Association titles. Now he's ready.
Oh boy, well, he'll blame that on the cameraman, I'll bet you. But that's the way it goes. He's not a very happy man right now. Tough spare here. The team was doing well up to this point. Now the 4, the 10. The idea here is to get the board to slide across in the 10. That's from 60 feet away, a little over 60 feet. He's got about 1/8 of an inch of a target to hit down there.
Ooh, almost. What a good try. Well, he is got a little fire in his belly right now. Vice grips up by 13.
Well, there's always a turning point. You never know what it might be. Now, that could get vice grips all pumped up, saying we're going to make up for that. We're going to get it going, and it could pump up turbo 2 and 1 grips when they get back in the match now.
Here's Dave Bernhardt. Looking good.
That's the best shot we've seen from either team right there.
Yes, indeed. Kevin Iwaniak, the 1990 ABC tournament team and team all events champion.
Crossover.
Hey, it looked a little high, but he got them all.
Got them all, yeah. The players are continuing to move on the lanes, and you watch them, they're getting deeper and deeper. In other words, they're moving more and more to the left with their feet, and their target on the lane is moving more and more to the left, trying to find more oil in the center of the lane. Before we went on the air, they spent about 30 minutes warming up on this pair of lanes, and they've now created some kind of a transition with the oil. And as the oil moves around and their ball moves the oil around, they're going to have to make adjustments, and they're trying to do that, but they're not getting the right ball reaction as of yet.
That was Nick Wissinger. Pretty fine line at this point in the proceedings, apparently.
Well, if they start the ball with the boards a little bit, it wants to hook high. If they give it room, it doesn't want to come back. So the logical move is to go deeper into the lane, farther and farther left, and that's what they're trying to do, but they don't want to get beyond the point where the ball will hook back and still hit hard enough to carry the corner pins.
This Turbo 2 and 1 grips team won here last year. Wissinger picks up the spare. Here's Dave Winden.
Lockport, New York. This team, well, you know, Lockport's famous for maybe some other things, but what I think about when I think about Lockport, New York is Allie Brandt, the man who for years and years had the all-time three-game series record in the American Bowling Congress of 886. It's since been beat, but that record stood for, I don't know, some 50 years, I would guess.
Winden coming up just a little short.
Easy spare, only the 2-pin. We've seen a lot of that 2-pin today. Players either missing the head pin to the right, leaving the washout with a 2-pin in the spare, or leaving the 2-8 or some part of it. The 2-10 by one of the players, couldn't pick it up. That was Carl Kenyon just a minute ago.
Another look at the man from Finland.
You know, the instruction that the players from Finland get is outstanding. You watch the good fundamentals here, the long free arm swing. It gets the ball well out over the lane, some 7 or 8 feet in the air before it touches down, and that's because of that strength he has in his upper body and good free arm swing. And there you see the power and the rotation he gets on the bowling ball. And he wasn't quite fortunate enough to carry the 10-pin, but he's one of the few that's got the ball to the pocket on that lane.
Jack Jurek, who you're going to see a little later on, the high game. Ted Hannes, Morris Goodlow, 699s. Brad Kazuski, the 213.6 qualifying average.
Cindy Carroll, Cindy Coburn, it was her maiden name, and she's right here from Buffalo, New York, and an outstanding woman player. And her team made it into the match play portion of the tournament also.
Yeah, they qualified out in California. The Brunswick Frameworks team. Bill Rowe. Rowe, a member of Team Canada, won a gold medal in singles in the '95 Pan American Games. I like his action.
Oh yeah, this is a great game here. Reminds me a lot of the game of Jack Jurek, who we'll be seeing in the championship match. His team led all the way through. The team from Buffalo here, all these players out of the Buffalo area, they're obviously going to be the hometown favorites, and the crowd will be really getting into that championship match once that starts.
Here's Ted Hannes. Western New York's a great bowling area. Good to be here at Thruway Lanes in Cheektowaga. Jack Dolan and his staff have done a wonderful job.
Over the years, I bowled a lot of tournaments here on the PBA Tour, Jay.
Big crowds, very knowledgeable.
Oh yeah, they're into the game. There's no question.
And is very upset. He's got a rather quizzical, confused look on his face at the moment.
It's amazing, you know, just to give everybody at home that may have not watched the World Team Challenge on television before, it's a 2-game total pin Baker system match that we're playing here. So the players will switch, the teams will switch lanes after this first game. And as so often happens, maybe one lane is more difficult than the other. And when they switch lanes, it becomes very obvious. The team that bowled 150 maybe this game will shoot 210 the next game on the other lane. So you just never know. They're never over until the last frame or two, almost always.
Pat Healy, as you saw, 27 years of age. Won the '95 World Cup, the '94 U.S. Amateur Champion.
Well, this is why he's bowling in this anchor position. They've got a strike up in the 9th. They want him to get 2 more strikes in the 10th. And that's why he's bowling in this position. He's capable of doing just that. And that's why he brought back that wheelbarrow full of money from Korea right there, because he can throw the ball like that under pressure when he needs it. And there's a lot of pressure out there because you've got 4 guys sitting on the bench pulling for you to make a good shot, and you feel if you're bowling singles you can make a mistake and the only person that gets hurt is yourself. When you're bowling on a team like he is now, he's got 4 other people sitting there depending on him to make that good shot, and if he doesn't, he might have to sleep on the floor tonight in the motel room instead of on that bed there.
This is Pat's 8th World Team Challenge TV appearance.
Another good shot, not going to get back this time. Now there's the out of bounds I was talking about. You get it out there a little bit wider, and he comes back and holds his fingers about a ½ inch apart saying, hey, I missed by about a ½ inch and I missed the head pin. Well, that's why it's a challenging lane condition, and as I mentioned, a very fair test for these great bowlers.
And he picks up the spare in fine fashion. Game 2 is coming up. Vice grips 193, Turbo 2-in-1 157. We move to game 2 of this second match, as Vice grips has a 36-pin lead.
And as we get ready to get started in the second game of a 2-game total pin match, very quickly let me explain the format to those of you at home. All 91 teams bowl 6 qualifying games, regular team bowling. Total pins for the 6 games. If you're in the top 10, you go into match play, which is all Baker system match play. There are then 9 2-game matches, in other words, 1 against all the other teams that make the cut, and 1 match that is, and then a position round match. And each game is worth 15 bonus pins if you win it. and then 20 pins bonus if you win the match. So there's a possibility of 50 bonus pins each match. The top 3 teams with their total pinfall, and of course with their bonus pins, you see today on the telecast.
And here in game 2, they've changed lanes. Steve Fair, the 94 ABC Bud Light Masters champion.
Be interesting to see their ball reaction. Well, at least this time he got it up to the head pin, left only the 6 pin. Steve has gone from having a lot of problems with the wrist that really got him off the Pro Tour. He was an outstanding player on the tour for a while, had so many wrist problems, he had to have surgery. Now he actually has bone on bone in that wrist. And so he does go through some pain. He can only bowl so many games before it gives out on him and he has to rest it.
And he really wraps it up, doesn't he?
He does. And he went from, he actually used to have 3 fingers in the ball plus his thumb. Now he's down just to the 2, the middle 2 fingers in the thumb.
There is the first match. Our score there, 193-157, the lead 36.
Now there are no bonus pins on these matches. This is strictly 2 games, total pins today.
And the strike for Kevin Iwaniak. Kevin's first TV appearance in the World Team Challenge.
We'll take a look at the rotation of the ball. You see where he's playing just inside the 4th arrow, getting the ball out to about the 12-13 board. And then the power as the ball enters the pocket area just shreds the pins.
Dave Bernhardt has it on the way.
He has yet to miss. He's 2 for 2, 3 for 3.
All right. We will return with more of the Brunswick World Team Challenge right after these messages. The lead is 58. Wyndon with a strike. Wissinger left the 6 pin and got the spare. Rowe with a strike. Both of those strikes, incidentally, were Brooklyn's. Koivuniemi and made the spare. And here is Healy.
Look at the concentration on Pat Healy's face. He's playing extremely deep inside on the lane surface, laying the ball down almost in the left-hand channel and still couldn't get it on the right side of the head pin. I think he went a little more direct than he might need to, and he'll probably make a pretty good adjustment in the 10th frame. Remember, his players got that string of strikes by crossing over on the head pin, and Pat almost got that one, left only the 6 pin.
Ooh. A sigh of relief from Pat Healy Jr.
Well, that's why they put paint on those things, Jay, so you can slide them over there like that. Here's Ted Hanna. Now, Ted can walk around a garbage can if you put it on the approach and not have it get in his way. He just tends to walk sideways, but he gets the job done.
The 95 Peterson Classic champion. Never got there. He is confused.
He is confused. Here's another look at Pat Healy shooting that spare, and he feels he has it covered, Whoops, it's not going to hook. Hit that out of bounds where that oil is. Just kept right on going. The look on his face, he's almost ready to bite the tip of his tongue off there if he misses that spare, but turned around with a look of disbelief on his face, and his teammates a sigh of relief. You know, Ted Hannes holds the ball there with that wrist, what they call a weak position, throws it hard as he can, straight at the spare, doesn't bounce it out of the pit, and leaves the 10 pin out of the 2-4-10. And he says, thank you very much for that gratuitous hand.
71, the lead for Vice Grips, and this is getting to be a drastic situation.
Well, they're bowling now. It would appear that they're bowling now just to see if they can get lined up on that lane. They've got the match won. There's no question they're going to win the match. Any fill of frames here in the next couple of frames, and this match is over, and it's going to be Vice Grips taking on our tournament leaders from Buffalo here, the hometown favorites, Jack Jurek and the gang with Mike Newman, and that should be a great match. There's no question that Mike Newman is again up there with Pat Healy and maybe a Chris Barnes, and guys of that stature are the best amateur players in our country and maybe around the world. Those 3 could be listed 1, 2, 3 in any direction you want to put them. So we get a chance to again see great players in action, and we do have some ex-professionals here, and here's one of them, Steve Fair, as you mentioned, the ABC Masters champion and an ABC Hall of Famer. The American Bowling Congress elected Steve just a few years ago.
He won a gold medal in the 1981 FIQ tournament. He owns 3 ABC tournament titles.
You can see all the gadgets he has on that right wrist to help him get through the day, and plus taking some pain medicine, but he just loves to bowl.
More of the Brunswick World Team Challenge from Cheektowaga, New York, right after we take time out for these messages. 84-pin lead for Vice Grips. We had a Waniak with a spare. Bernhardt was open. Gwendon got a spare, and Wissinger with the strike. Looks like we're going to have an all Western New York final, huh?
It looks that way, yeah. And it should be a good one. I think the scores will get a little better in the championship match, and that the teams will probably bring it down to the 10th frame again, and that's what generally happens in our championship matches. This one, not really a runaway by Vice Grips so much as just a complete loss of how to play the lane condition by Turbo 2-in-1. They are completely lost on the lanes. They have no idea where to play, and they're just not getting a ball reaction. Speed being so critical, the break point almost impossible to control. You see that ball looked like it was going to turn in. It never made the move to the pocket, and yet if they soften up just a little bit, the ball wants to hook high. Well, so be it. Why don't they square it up, Jay, and move out a little bit, maybe play outside and see what happens?
I was going to ask you that question.
I thought you would answer that for me.
I'll tell you, it's a bit of a quandary for these fellas today. Spare for Mika. There you see the qualifying averages, both the regular and the Baker. And 6-3-1 for the top 2 teams in the match play. Turbo 2-1, 6-4. Pat Healy Jr. Well, he seemed to know what to do. Rowe and Healy have seemed to be able to figure out these conditions.
Well, Healy, excuse me, again, you know, one of the best amateurs in the country and maybe in the world, but he's very capable of making something happen with his release. He does a lot of different things with the bowling ball, and he's almost a throwback to the guys that were 25, 30 years ago and learned how to play the game by doing things with their wrist and their rotation and ball speed, rather than just getting up there and firing with these reactive wrist bowling balls. He can make the ball do some things that some of the other guys can't, like that. He's bringing it back out of bounds. He's moved to the right. He's playing farther out in the lane near the channel, slowed it down quite a bit, and made the ball finish on the back end. And that takes a lot of talent and some imagination to figure out what to do, and he's done it very well.
And with another strike, a score of 236. Let's see if he can finish it off in fine fashion.
Watch where he gets the ball out in front of him before he releases, way out in front. That's why he's getting all that good rotation on the ball. And there's one, a little more ball speed, and it never made the turn back. That's how critical that shot is.
A score of 232. And the victory for Vice Grips. So it will be Vice Grips of Lockport, New York, going up against Vice Grips Buffalo, and our championship match. And it's finishing up here. He's just visiting with the crowd. Some other finishers: Storm Vice Grips in 4th place. The Gators were 5th. Lynn Shoes in 6th. March Appraisal in 7th. The Alley Brandt Lanes team. The Performing Sounds 9th, and that's St. John's University team, the Red Storm team. Good-looking group of youngsters we saw bowling here.
Yeah, and they had a little thing going with the team from Penn State that was here. Penn State says they're going to beat them in the next one, though. That Lynn Shoe team, by the way, the players on that won the first championship, and they had a different name then. It was called Brunswick. Same guys, but a little different name.
Well, I should mention we have the $25,000 perfect game bonus presented by the sponsors of the World Team Challenge. The way it's been going today, I don't think that's in jeopardy, but
I think the players might think they're doing the lanes. What do you think?
I don't know. So it's the victory here for Vice Grips of Lockport, New York, and they'll head to our championship match, Vice Grips of Buffalo. We'll be back and take you around the bowling world, bring you up to date right after this. The Brunswick World Team Challenge is brought to you by the Treasure Chest Casino, proud host of the 96 Grand Championships at the Don Carter Lanes, Kenner, Louisiana, and the Pontchartrain Center in New Orleans. We're really looking forward to that, Earl, as it is Carl Kenyon and Jack Jurek shaking hands. The championship match, 2 games to decide our championship team, and the winning team gets that trip to the Big Easy and a chance at the big money.
The big what?
The Big Easy.
The Big Easy. Oh, okay.
The Crescent City.
Yes. Here we go. Championship match.
Kenyon. Another Brooklyn hit.
It looks like he just threw that just about as hard as he could throw it. Some of these guys are going to leave here with some dislocated shoulders or something when they're going to the foul line. And Carl gave it everything he had there, just trying to overpower the lane condition. Leaves the 6-pin only. Cross lane, switches bowling balls to a surface that won't grip. Shiny, smooth bowling ball, and throws it hard right at it.
Vice Grips Lockport with a 104-pin win over Turbo 2-in-1 Grips. And now to lead off for Vice Grips Buffalo, Jack Jurek, 32-year-old pro shop owner and pro bowler, the 95 Tums Classic PBA winner. Nice easy action, got them all.
Got them all. There's a look at a classic style going to the foul line, but at the same time, here's a guy that's playing lanes completely different than anybody we've seen so far. He's going up the boards, out around the second arrow. Great reaction.
Kevin Iwaniak. Yes. $25,000 perfect game bonus presented by the sponsors of the World Team Challenge. Contour Power Grips starting lineup brought to you by Contour Power Grips, pioneers in the industry. Jurek, Masiello, Zuski, Eaton, and Newman.
A little different release here. Keep an eye on the wrist as he goes to the foul line. He cups and gets back under the ball. Gets tremendous rotation. But sometimes it's difficult for John to get the ball speed he might need on some lane conditions because of he kind of what we call short arms the ball. He doesn't use the full arm swing. He uses it upper body strength, and it doesn't let the ball swing very freely. He even shoots his spares this way. See the wrist position?
John Masiello, 38 years of age, works in the production area of American Axle here in the Buffalo area. There's Norm Warner, sports writer for the Buffalo News. Enjoyed reading his story this morning. Dave Winden.
Dave, another big, strong guy, very capable of throwing the ball very hard. And it seems that's their answer to this lane surface, just to throw it as hard as they can. And still hard to judge the back end, the break point of the ball. And here he leaves the big 5 and an almost impossible spare. Actually, if he were trying to make this, he would shoot at the 2 pins on the left and try to slide the 4-pin into the 6, 9, 10. I'm sure he'll go for the pin count, throw it down the right-hand side, and hope he can bounce it out of the pit. No luck there. Just got the 3, but at least he got the pin count that was necessary. And right there is a guy we all know and love.
Jack Dolan.
Good old Jack.
Yes, Jack and his staff have done a tremendous job here at the throughway lanes.
He's got his hands full next week with the WIBC tournament coming in.
That's
here.
right.
And 37,000 plus ladies going to be bowling doubles and singles here.
Brad Kazuski, 30 years old, a pro shop owner.
And Brad doesn't normally limp like that. Normally he gets to the foul line quite smoothly, but he had a little problem with a basketball court. He was out there trying to be Larry Bird and found out he wasn't. Ruined his knee a little bit. Now he's got a big couple of braces on his right knee, and he's having trouble pushing off into the slide. But
he obviously has to make some adjustments. Picked up the spare. We'll return with more right after these messages. Bill Rowe is 4 for 4 so far today.
He's the only player that has really solved the ball reaction, getting the break point right there and getting that kind of reaction into the pocket area.
5 for 5. He has really been on target. We got our first look now at Brian Eaton.
Watch the 5 pin right there. See the ball getting the 5, sending it over and taking out the corner pins on the left. That's power.
Eaton bowls for a living. He's the youngest player in this championship match, 26 years of age.
That one came off his hand real early, and he got the reaction he wanted. Out in that oil and getting it into an early roll so he can get it back.
Vice Grips Buffalo up by 10. Here's Pat Healy Jr.
You see Pat take his left hand, lick the fingers, then put it on the heel of his left shoe. Well, the reason he does that is so that he can really get set at the foul line. A little moisture on the heel keeps the foot from slipping. He can plant that foot and pull the ball through and get the ball speed he wants.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, he's right. He's really rolling it well, isn't he?
Pat lives in Niagara Falls.
Watch the rotation on this ball as he gets about halfway down. You can see he's playing just inside the 4th arrow, and look at the ball, pick up the roll at about 54 feet, turn into the pocket, and it's 10 in the pit.
Here's a fellow that you referred to earlier, Earl, Mike Newman. He won the Brunswick High Roller Shootout, $30,000 first prize. The best ball challenge. He stepped back away there, but look at the concentration here.
Look how he gets himself kind of screwed all in a little ball there. It reminds you of Stan Musial when he was playing baseball.
Yeah, wraps himself up.
And he's throwing it hard and straight up the boards, kind of like Jack Jurek did when he led off this match. And Newman can play anywhere. He's I mentioned how great a player he is, and I can't give enough praise to a kid of his talents. He can play any part of the lane. He can adjust ball speeds and change rotations on the ball. Very capable of playing almost any lane condition. You can't be as successful as he has been around the world without those abilities. Same thing for Pat Healy Jr.
Well, we come back to Carl Kenyon.
Carl taking a lot of time here to get set and getting moisture on his thumb there, and the reason he's doing that was when he puts his thumb in the thumb hole, it won't feel slippery. It gets a little tackiness that way. The moisture helps him grip the ball.
Carl's employed as a machinist.
Still confused. Still hasn't figured out where to throw it on lane 47, and as long as he can fill frames, he's not going to hurt his team, and that's all he's thinking of. Just keep it going, make those spares, and give someone else a chance to be the hero. Just fill those frames, get the spares, and your team's going to win some money here. You can hear in the background some of his teammates saying, "Atta baby." Well, the big trip on the line here, 2 games total pins, the trip to Louisiana. We're looking forward to that, Jay. Jack Jurek, watch where he's playing the lanes. First one we've seen so far to play this angle successfully.
Jack's 32. He was the 84 World Cup champion.
Doesn't like that one, but got it inside his target just a little bit around the 11 or 12 board. He's trying to play right up the 2nd arrow. It's about 2 boards left to where he wanted to be, and watch the ball go through the middle of the head pin. And when you do that, these brand new Brunswick pins are going to make you pay the full price. His reaction, he knew when he let go that it was inside his target, and he knew what the reaction was going to be. He was hoping it would cross the head pin. It wasn't that lucky.
And Vice Grips Lockport leading by 16. More in a moment. Well, we had strikes from Kevin Iwaniak and John Masiello. George McKenna, Vice President of Marketing for the Marine Midland Bank, the ABC MasterCard, of course. And good to have him on hand here today. Dave Winden. Got to hurry.
Well, Dave is using about as much of the lane as you could possibly use and still be on lane 47. He almost threw that one on lane 46. He's out there in the left-hand channel throwing the ball almost over it in the air and didn't get it back, as you mentioned. Look where he's playing. Look at this shot. Watch this ball come off his hand almost on the one board on the left-hand side of the lane, trying to skid it for about 55 feet and turn into the pocket there, but it doesn't pick up enough rotation on the back to make the turn. He leaves the 210. Tough spare. Tried to slide the 2 into the 10. Switches bowling balls. He's looking at the center of the lane. He's going to throw this pretty hard and straight. He's not going to try to hook it. No chance.
Came up empty there.
All right, here's step and a half. Brad, the basketball star from a day ago, has found out that it doesn't help his bowling game to get out there and try to do slam dunks. But he still performed well enough to help his team get to this point, and they are the leaders of the tournament going into this championship match.
He was probably stimulated by all the March Madness that's going on as he comes up with a big strike. Boy, he loved that one.
Yeah, and here's a look at it. The style of Brad. As he gets to the foul line, he's playing around the 4th arrow, but he's giving it lots of room. With the ball speed isn't very hard, so he's giving the ball a chance to roll back to the pocket. That's the key, getting the right ball speed if you're going to play that angle.
Rowe has been perfect throughout this entire match.
Another player that likes to get that right elbow. Very key thing to keep that right elbow inside the center of the ball. If you can do that, you can go straight up through the back of the ball and get that kind of ball reaction. What a player.
Boy, oh boy, perfect. 6 for 6 now.
A lot of people you'll see if the ball goes off their hand early or goes high left, Brooklyn hits, things like that, through the nose, it's generally because the hand got over the top of the ball, and it only will do that if your elbow gets outside of the ball at the bottom of the arm swing. That's why you see the players tucking that right elbow in by their hip so they get the elbow inside the ball and rotate up the back of the ball and on the side at the same time. That's when you get the good, strong rotation.
26-year-old Brian Eaton, the 90 Junior College All-American, Erie Community College. Their coach, Herm Helmer, an ABC director, on hand here today.
And he's going to use all of the lane. He's getting the ball that doesn't hook. He's going to go cross lane at this, taking a lot of time. The idea is to get both pins with the ball. 4 and the 9.
Vice Grips Buffalo +6 at this point in the proceedings. A 2-game match. The winner gets the trip to the Grand Championship in Louisiana. Pat Healy Jr.
Watch his eyes. They don't hardly ever blink. His head doesn't move. It's very steady all the way to the foul line. Just like that, just stays right there.
7 pins still standing.
Oh, great shot too. Got the good pin action, but just not enough of the 5 to go over and take out the 7. 5 pin slid in front of the 7. We're going to take a look at the pin action. Watch the 5 pin. Here's Pat Healy preparing to shoot the spare. And here's a look at it right here. Watch the 5 pin right there. That's the pin you see in the middle of the screen going over in front of the 7. Just not quite enough of it to get to the 7 pin. Have to be careful. Spare shooting this week has been difficult, and so the players have to be very careful. That's why you're seeing them taking so much time when they're preparing to shoot their spares to make sure they don't make any foolish mistakes and not fill those frames.
A possible 181.
Mike Newman getting his ball all ready to go and prepare these 2 anchor men. If it comes down to that, and it so often does in the championship round, if it comes down to these 2 guys head to head to determine this championship, it's going to be something to see. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. I hope that happens, Jay.
Well, we've got a good chance, I would guess. And now a 10 pin. Healy, of course, a member of Team USA that won the Grand Championship last year. The score of 180 for Vice Grips, Lockport, New York. Now Newman. Newman, the Cole holder of the record for most titles in an ABC tournament with 4 in 1990. He won the team, the doubles, the all events, and the team all events.
It's a pretty good week's work, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that ball speed. And still makes the ball hit. A lot of rotation, all of it end over end with tremendous ball speed. We're going to take a look at him coming right into your living room. Here's Mike Newman coming right at you. And again, the very steady head. Watch the right shoulder open up to create this ball speed, the real high backswing, plant the left foot, pull that ball through. And there's a Nolan Ryan fastball. And here's the result. Hit him thin and watch him spin. And there they go.
Dressed in that black today, when he charges to the line, he looks like an assassin.
Well,
he is.
I know he can get a pretty wicked look in his eye when he's looking at those pins, but I didn't know it was that bad.
Well, look at it. Look at it, boy.
Looks like he's looking down the barrel of a rifle, doesn't he?
He's going after it.
Now, that one didn't quite get enough of the head pin to get him the same ball reaction he was hoping for that he got previously, but the important thing for both anchormen is they marked in the 10th frame, kept their teams in the match. Here's another look at that last shot by Mike Newman. A lot of ball speed again, a little side rotation on this one, whereas the ball before had more end over end. And when it's more end over end, it tends to go into a roll sooner. When you get side rotation, the ball tends to skid farther. And that one skidded past the head pin.
Well, if he gets these, it's 187. His 7-pin lead, and that's exactly the case. 187 to a 180. We'll be back. Brunswick World Team Challenge. Thruway Lanes, Cheektowaga, New York, along with Earl Anthony, Jay Randolph. To the final game we go. Jack Jurek gets the strike to start it off for the boys from Buffalo.
It's kind of interesting that arguably the two best players on that team, Jack Jurek and Mike Newman, are both playing around that second arrow, and I would think that might rub off on some of the other players, give them an idea that, hey, this could be the place we should be, instead of trying to throw it as hard as we can around the fifth arrow.
Carl Kenyon.
Well,
yes, sir. Well, there's a good look at Herm Helmer, ABC director, and as I mentioned, the coach at Erie Community College. A lot of these fellas, of course, have been influenced by him. He's been a real force in the collegiate world as well.
again, a look at the unique release of John Masiello as he goes to the foul line. It takes a lot of strength to bowl. Like you can see the very short backswing and tremendous rotation. And John has moved out. He's playing out just out around the third arrow. So the player's making that migration toward the right-hand channel instead of moving so deep inside. Here's another look at that style. Watch the arm get right under the ball and rotate it. He's right just around the 16, 17 board between third, fourth arrow, and the ball just got a hair high and left the 4-pin. So it's going to come down to the nitty-gritty, it looks like, huh?
Sure does. Here's Kevin Iwaniak.
Big, strong Kevin. This guy is big and strong. He can get it down there in a hurry.
Another Brooklyn.
Well, that might be the answer. I don't know, but he's shaking his head, but I'll bet you he doesn't want it over. They'll take that.
Vice Grips up by 3. We've had the lead change. That's Vice Grips Lockport.
Here's number 38 on his shirt with 33 in the hearts and minds of the Boston Celtic fans.
Larry Bird was something. And the Brooklyn hit, but they don't all go down for Kazuski.
Well, he left only the 5-pin, and you know what goes through a bowler's mind right now, and probably not through Brad's necessarily, but through a lot of players' minds, especially good players, when they leave the 5-pin is, boy, I sure hope I don't miss this one. That would be pretty embarrassing, because the old saying goes in the sport of bowling, nobody misses the 5-pin.
Did you ever miss one?
Oh, of course I did. I missed everything you could miss out there.
I don't suppose I was supposed to bring that up.
Nothing to it, he says. I had no chance to miss that. And he's coming back there with that little smile on his face.
Dave Winden.
Dave really deep into concentration, and he's trying to visualize the line he wants the ball to take going down the lane. The idea is if you see it in your mind, then you just repeat it with your body. No chance to get back there. You could actually see that ball start to hook and then skid out again and then come back, and his reaction is, I can't believe that. I made a great shot in my mind, in his mind. He made a great shot, and the ball just didn't react for him. And here's a look at the ball entering the pin area and the washout. He almost went between the head pin and the 3-pin, which, I mean, excuse me, the 6-pin, which would have been really something. It would have been what we call the pro washout if he'd have just taken the 3-pin out of the full rack there. All right, the washout. Try to slide the head pin into the 10-pin.
Well, of course, everybody talks to each other in these team events. There's so much chemistry going on all the time.
Yeah, Jack Jurek, the captain of the Vice Grips Buffalo team, and the captain for Vice Grips Lockport is Carl Kenyon. Pat Healy keeping an eye on the scoreboard.
Yeah, the scoreboard watching begins in earnest about this point.
That's right. Remember, it's 2 games total pins for the championship here, and Baker's system makes it very difficult.
Another lead change here, Earl.
Yeah, back and forth. And we kind of expect that to happen. These 2 teams,
strike for Eaton.
There was no question that they were the class of the field. These 2 teams with dominating players on them, and here's one of the best shots we've seen so far. And watch where the ball goes past the arrows, right between the 3rd and 4th arrow, gets it out to about the 10 board, and then brings it back on the end. And look at his eyes. He is pumped. He's into this, and his team's up off the bench, and that in the background is their captain coming up off the bench.
Bill Rowe has been perfect. He's 6 for 6 today. 7 for 7.
He's incredible. 7 for 7. And you just have to realize that you can see by watching the other players perform how difficult the lane condition is. It's a real shot maker's condition. You have to make great shots to get exactly the same ball speed and rotation. And he is doing that better than anyone by far. Billy Rowe showing just how talented he is. Tremendous talent. Mike Newman. When you speak of talent, here's a name that comes to mind immediately. Stan Musial getting ready to hit one on the right field line. There he goes. Gotta hurry. Crossed it over.
And got them all, boy. Pat Healy.
Little confusion there, and the player's not sure what's going on, and Pat Healy is trying to decide what's the talking things over with Mike Newman. How'd you play that Brooklyn? I want to play one of those myself.
Yeah, a lot of chatter going on here.
Taking a lot of time for this shot. On a strike. His team needs this strike. Answer for Mike Newman's double for his team.
Didn't get up.
Well, he got a break there, Jay. That could have been a lot worse. The 2-pin only, could have been the 210, which we've seen several times today. Come in so far behind the head pin. And here, again, the look from behind of Pat Healy playing right over the 4th arrow, getting the ball out to about the 2nd arrow again at about 55 feet, and just not getting back out of the out-of-bounds area. And the speed, again, is so critical. If the speed isn't perfect, it won't come back.
We'll have more from the throughway lanes. The Brunswick World Team Challenge continues in just a moment. Vice Grips Buffalo now up by 56. Jurek with a strike. Kenyon open, and that could be the key to victory.
Well, in every match, there's a turning point, and the spare that Kenyon missed could be the one that is going to decide this championship.
Yes. Come on.
Big one right there. He said yes, yes. He knew he had it, I guess. Masiello, I wasn't so sure.
I wasn't either, Jay, but he knew when he let go of it that it was going to have the right ball speed to make the corner, turn the corner, get back to the pocket. And That's the hit you want. With these power bowling balls they're using now, if you can keep it light in the pocket area, you're going to carry almost every time.
Kevin Iwaniak.
Well, here's a look again at Kevin getting to the foul line, giving it all he has. And when you start throwing as hard as you can, you tend to be very inconsistent. You can see the dejection on the face of the team sitting on the bench. They made a good run at it. They beat a tough team in the opening match. And now they're sitting there wondering, boy, I wish just for a couple of changes, breaks at the right time, this could have been the other way around. We'd be going to Louisiana instead of these guys. But right now, it looks like it's going to be the team from Buffalo, the hometown favorites.
Well, of course, Jurek, Eaton, and Masiello and Newman have qualified for the previous 3 Grand Championships, as you mentioned at the top of the show. They finished second in the '94 Grand Championships. And, of course, Zewski's been on the last 2 teams, and there's the strike, and they're really doing the job now.
They are, and you can see the excitement, the hugs. Everybody's happy on one side of the ball return, and everybody's kind of dejected on the other. We'll take another look at that shot going down the lane. Look at the good side rotation, picks up the roll right there, and it's 10 in the pit. Great shot. And watch the team getting off the bench. They are into this. They are ready. Jack Jurek, the captain, on the right. John Masiello to meet him on the approach. Those high fives can hurt you, boy. Let me tell you, they give them hard.
Yes, and the problems continuing for Vice Grips Lockport. Well, Earl, we have in recent weeks seen the competition, talent increasing in the World Team Challenge, and this group winning in their home territory here in Buffalo. They'll be very tough in Louisiana.
Yes, they will. That's, as we've said before, a very strong, talented team, and you can see the look on Pat Healy Jr.'s face. Pat's not used to being second.
Well, and Rowe has been brilliant today.
Rowe was unbelievable.
Yes, he was. Brian Eaton. Well, they can do no wrong.
Well, they're making great shots, and you know, the team that finishes higher in the standings gets the choice of starting lanes. They determined they wanted to finish on lane 47 because they felt that they could control the match by finishing on lane 47.
Earl, they've got a possible 269 here.
And the high game so far of the tournament, they bowled it 267 in match play.
Well, here is Rowe, who has done everything you could ask him to do until that shot right there.
Well, I think he's so disappointed now that he just wanted to throw it down the lane. And to me, the difference in this match was the ability of Jack Jurek and his team to play the outside angle, go up the boards. Mike Newman, of course, doing the same thing. That team, so talented and so capable of feeling out the lanes. Jack Jurek, the captain, as I mentioned, I'm sure he was the one that said, hey guys, try this shot, give it a chance, it might work for us.
Advancing to the Grand Championship in Kenner, Louisiana, Vice Grips Buffalo, as Newman finishes off here. We'll have a moment to chat with our champions, and a Brooklyn hit for Newman.
Well, I think Mike's just saying, hey, I'm going to aim at the middle of the head pin. I'm not that accurate. If it goes either side, it's going to be a strike.
Yes, indeed. This team, Earl, I think, was destined for victory here today on home ground,
well, you know, you're right. I believe you're right, Jay. Talent almost always wins out, but sometimes we've seen some of the great teams lead by several hundred pins and lose in that championship match.
Congratulations all around the Vice Grips team from Buffalo. Getting the applause and the congratulations. He's going to throw, of course, one more ball.
The World Team Challenge, one of the most exciting events in bowling right
258.
now.
Wow. Vice Grips Buffalo, our champions, and Healy finishing off here. Under very demanding conditions here, Earl, that 258, one of the highest games we've had in competition on the World Team Challenge this year.
To give you an idea of how demanding this condition is, the 10th place team in qualifying was 400 under 200 average. This team right here, the champions, were the only team to average over 200 for the qualifying rounds of 6 games of regular team competition. So a demanding condition and an outstanding performance by 5 very talented players.
167 score possible for Pat Healy's team here.
Well, they're only going to lose this one by about 90.
Yep.
And that isn't anywhere near what we expected to have happen, especially me. I expected this one to come down to the
right to the wire, right. So a score of 165 in game 2 for Vice Grips Lockport. Don't forget, we have some upcoming events. The Lodge Lanes in Belleville, Michigan, then out in Eagan, Minnesota in April, in May, Norcross, Georgia, and out at your Dublin facility in May, Earl. And of course, the ladies have Concord, California in May, and then Baltimore, Maryland in June. In the women's events, there's still some entries open there, so I think the only one left in the men's division where there's some openings are Kansas City. Well, the score here in this championship match, 445 for Vice Grips Buffalo and 345 for Vice Grips Lockport, New York. There is that as Vice Grips Buffalo gets this victory, and we'll be back to talk it over with them here in Cheektowaga, New York, right after these messages. Well, there are winners, the boys from Buffalo, you might say, and what a job they did. Well, let's get to the presentation of the trophies, and first of all, with the plaque, here is Kerm Helmer, ABC director, and a man who coached a few of these fellows in college down at Erie Community College.
Yeah, 3 out of the 5, and Jack got away from me, went to West Texas, and John was too old to bowl, so, you know. It gives me a very special pleasure on behalf of the American Bowling Congress and its 2.4 million members to present the championship plaque for just an outstanding performance on a real difficult lane condition, and they definitely deserve everything they got, and great luck in the grand finals. Hope the third time's a charm for you guys.
All right, there you go. Pass it along. Next, let me introduce George McKenna, the Vice President of Marketing, Marine Midland Bank.
Right. Thanks very much, Mike. It's been a pleasure. On behalf of Marine Midland and their ABC credit card, we'd like to certainly congratulate you and present the rings to you. And it was a fantastic thing with 2 Buffalo teams playing in the finals. Congratulations. Good luck.
And here is Paul Bernier, ABC field rep with the Lynn's Jackets.
Congratulations, Mike, and your team. I would like to present to you the Lynn Championship Jackets, indicative of your championship, and good luck in Reno, New Orleans.
That's right. We're moving from Reno to New Orleans. You got it right. Mike, you guys really got tough.
I'll tell you, the lanes are extremely difficult. I mean, I don't know if you're going to find a harder shot than this one. The lanes are a little bit different than what we were playing on in the qualifier, but got a few good breaks. We worked real hard. We had a good game plan before we started, and worked out pretty good, Jay.
Yeah, it worked out very good. Let's go down to Earl.
Well, I'm down here with Jack Jurek, the captain of this team. And Jack, it was very interesting that you were playing that extreme outside angle compared to what the other players were playing. Who made that decision and why?
Well, for me, my ball was really shooting through the front. There was a little extra head oil, and I was going to flag the headpin every time if I tried to play in, so I just moved right and tried to pipe it at the headpin.
Okay, did you guys talk that over? Did you make a decision among the team that maybe Jack, I saw Mike moved out?
Yeah, that was part of the thing that we talked about down on the practice pair before the match. You know, we had a game plan. It looked like it was going to be low scoring. We wanted to make spares, and that was going to be the best way for us to do it.
Well, you made some great shots, Jay.
Well, this big crowd was rooting for you, and seems like I'm standing next to you a lot these days. But congratulations, and we wish you the very best of luck down in Louisiana.
Well, thank you guys. I want to thank all the fans here. You guys are great. I want to thank the Bowling Center for supplying us with the lanes, of course, and I'd like to thank Vice Grip for sponsoring us. Thanks a lot.
There they are, your champions. The next World Team Challenge telecast is an open division event from Cedarville Lanes in Eagan, Minnesota. Check your local listings for dates and times. For Earl Anthony, this is Jay Randolph saying so long from Thruway Lanes in Cheektowaga, New York. This has been an ABC Eagle Productions telecast.